let's get onto our feet and give the best welcome possible to founder Emeralds, Going Diamond this year, Manoj and Priya.
Thank you. Please take the seat, please. Good evening. We are Manoj and Priya. In fact, both of us used to work in the IT industry. How many of you IT folks here? You're from IT, part of IT industry? That's more than 1,000 people in this auditorium. I'm sure you can relate to us. In fact, both of us graduated together from Regional Engineering College, Trichy. It used to be, now it's called NIT. And in fact, we graduated together with an offer in hand with Infosys. We joined Infosys in 2001, right after our college, and I worked for 2 years. And the year 2003, when we were 23 years old, we got started with this business. And in 3 years' time, we replaced her income. We used to build this business along with our jobs, both of us working. And she retired when she was 26. And I kept building the business along with my job. And within 7 years of starting this business, when I was 30 years old, I also retired from my job. Okay, and if you really see, first time when I heard somebody retire at young was my mentor in this business. His name is Ankur Gupta. Okay, and he retired when he was 28 years old. Okay, so I was very confused to hear that, because why would somebody work so hard, make it close to 200 plus ranks in IIT Delhi, IIT JEE exams across the country, do 4 years of electrical engineering at IIT Delhi, and then walk out of engineering career at the age of 28 itself. Right? It's such an amusing thing. And not only that, I had gone for his retirement party. In fact, right here in Kurumangala in Synopsis was the last day at his office. And I remember being there on the last day, and Tharu was bringing him out of the office. And there were 40, 50 people standing there with hydrogenated balloons in their hand. And when Ankur walked out, I could see balloons, colorful balloons go up in the air, and somebody's going congratulating him. Man, you have done it, and somebody's cutting cake, and I couldn't get to terms with it. Can you imagine? I've been hearing fired at 28, right? But not retired at 28. So just imagine, just visualize it. Somebody gets fired and walks out of the office, and you cut cake for him and lit balloons up. Chances are that he'll kill you, isn't it? Right? So what was prevalent around me was people fighting it out, hoping and praying that they don't lose their jobs because they had EMIs to pay for next 25, 30 years. That's what I was used to. And so the day we got exposed to this business, we never thought that day would open up such great possibilities in our life that we can live the way we live today, the way we could retire at 30. Okay? So if you're listening to us for the first time in a CD, I can tell you one thing. Next 1 hour is pregnant with such great possibilities in your life which you could have ever imagined. Right? So if you're meddling with a cell phone, texting or sending in a WhatsApp, or maybe you're finding yourself in an environment where it's very uncommitted, a lot of noise around you, I would suggest you to go to a silent place where you can put your 100% undivided attention into what I have to say, because it will pay off in a really big way. Okay, can you do that? Great. I am from Chennai. My dad is a mechanical engineer. My mom is a teacher, and they work very hard, and I'm from basically an average middle class family. And how do you know you're from a middle class family or not? How do you know you're middle class? You work very hard this entire month and next month so that you can pay for your survival expenses, right? So that's how I saw everybody around me live in the street where I lived, my friends, my relatives, everybody whom I knew, that's how they lived. In fact, most of IT industry lives like that, right? So they get up in the morning, pack the lunch box, rush somewhere, and work the whole day somewhere, and then get back home in the evening or late in the night. And that's what I got to see 5-6 days a week growing up. And on 7th day, on Sunday, you maybe get up in the morning a little late, maybe you have some choices in life, and you sleep in the afternoon maybe. And then Monday again, you're back. This is what I got to see all my life. And one day, when I was in 10th class, when I was in my 10th class vacation time, I had a friend who used to get invited to Madras Motorsports Club, where he used to do the flag off for the cars. He used to be called in as a marshal there because they need people to support. And so one day I tagged along with him. I was free. I thought, okay, let me go see what it is. And when I saw that, I saw a totally different world in front of me, because I saw some of the wealthiest people in the country. They had come down to race that day, and I could see something strange. I could see people actually tipping 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, just like that. Till then, I had only seen people arguing for 2 rupees, 3 rupees change. with a vendor or somebody. So I could see that, every single imported car that you can name was there, and there was more than the material well-being. What I really noticed was there's no fear in their eyes. Up till then, I thought if you're rich, something is wrong with you. That's how I saw people as, But one thing I noticed there was people were more humble, and they were very happy, and I could see no fear in their eyes about what will happen next year or next month. I could see confidence in their eyes. And what is the difference between Sunday and Monday? Sunday you get up and you really do what you like to do. You have choices in life on Sunday. On Monday, you do exactly what you have to do based on what your employer has a plan for you, based on what your boss asks you to do. So that's how people live normally. And there I saw everybody getting up and living the way they live on a Sunday every single day of their lives. And I really felt, deep in my heart, if I can live like this, I would be willing to pay any price for it that day. Okay, and certainly I didn't know what was law of attraction back then when I was in 10th class. But the best part about these laws are, whether you know them or not, it works, right? I mean, if you don't know law of gravity, but if you jump, you will still fall down, right? So that's exactly what happened. Few years down the lane, I end up meeting people in Brit worldwide who had a very similar lifestyle like what I saw there. And the only difference was they're willing to teach me how to get there, right? And so another incident that happened in my school days was when I was in 12th class. I remember respecting one person. He was my topper of my class. In fact, every single year he used to be a topper, and he used to be the captain of the school football team, and he used to be in every extracurricular activities you can name. And he used to still sit in the last bench and have fun, and still he used to be successful in everything that he does. So one day in the chemistry lab exam, he was on the same table as me, and we used to do this iteration. How many of you have done iteration here? Right, you just pipette out some solution in the conical flask, and you keep iterating till the solution color changes. And once it changes, you immediately take down the reading, right? So I got 19.3, and when we all used to go to dispose of the solution, we'll discuss. Have you done that? You ask how much you got and all that. Somebody told 19.1, somebody told 19.4. So I thought, okay, I'm pretty much fine, 19.3 somewhere close to, So, but my friend who was the topper there got 18.6 that day, okay? And it was obvious that it was wrong because everybody else got 19.6, and he still wrote 18.6 and walked out of that exam. And I was amazed because why would he do that? And right after the exam, I went and asked him, why would you do that? And he said, you know what, Manoj, that's the reading I got, right? And that day I learned one of the most important success principles in my life, that you believe in what you experience and what you understand rather than going by borrowing somebody else's opinions, right? And that really helped me. That day maybe he lost his marks that day, right? But on every other day of his life, he was successful because of that attitude he had. Okay, and so right after getting into this business, when I started showing this business, a lot of my friends who I really respect and admire, when they actually didn't agree with me in this business, when they didn't, get started with me, I could easily understand that why I should believe in what I saw, right? It really helped me, and in fact, the first time I got introduced to this business was in my college in electronics engineering. Out of 5 days, 4 days are half days for us. Okay, so we used to have a heavy lunch and sleep through the afternoon every single day. And so that's how our day-to-day routine was. So nobody disturbs you after lunch. Normally, you sleep. And so one such day I was sleeping, and I heard a knock on my door. Somebody was banging, and I opened the door. I saw a guy standing without shirt or t-shirt. He was wearing a banyan, okay, and shorts and no footwear, right? And his hair was unkempt. And I opened the door, and his name was Balashanmugam, okay. And he came in and he started talking to me for 3 long hours, okay. And in between he went and played a CD, and again he came back, again he started talking, and in between he told Amway, and I was waiting for him to leave because I was finding it hard to keep my eyes awake, okay. And so he was also from BWW, just that it stood for Balashanmugam Worldwide, okay. So he didn't fix a time with me, he didn't actually check my interest, okay. And so that was my experience with this business the first time. So every time other than this, when I heard Amway, what do you think came to my mind? Balashanmugam, right? So for me it is Balashanmugam. For everybody who's listening to us for the first time in the CD, maybe it is your servant maid, maybe it's somebody else who messed up with you, maybe it's your aunt, maybe it's some distant relative, or maybe you know somebody who got messed up, right? So let's say I see somebody selling coffee in a railway station, coffee, that's what you hear. And let's say next day somebody calls you and says, I'm going to offer you a coffee day business ownership franchise, brand ownership, and you say, no, anything to do with coffee, I'm not interested. Right? If you say that, you're highly mistaken, because when you're getting a coffee day brand ownership, it's got the nature of work has got nothing to do with going and selling coffee door to door, right? It's got more to do with building systems in place and educating people how to run that business really. Okay, and that's what we do. In fact, some people who start this business use these products because they get benefited in terms of getting some discounts, as well as they have money back guarantee and they are world-class products. And second, some people start this business, they buy and sell these products because they're looking for some pocket money. You cannot retire with that income, but maybe you can make some extra income, right? And third category of people are people who start this business, build an organization, okay, and put a system in place, and through a systematic way, through meetings, they educate people on products and services, and people go onto this online store and start procuring whatever they see. If you're here, if you have a car, you need a car insurance, you need a life insurance, you need a health insurance, you need a lot of other things on a day-to-day item. Everything you go and buy on this online store. Any online store for that matter, how did you get famous? Because of advertisements, or because of people like you and me getting excited about it and propagating it? Right? It's because of us, because of word of mouth. So if we can have no incentive except for 3-4% discount, if we can go and tell so many people, if you build a huge organization, won't the same word of mouth factor kick in? Won't the same thing happen? Yes, that's how we do crores of business today. By following all the three things I talked about. You can do the combination of all these three things actually, right? I lately happened to visit the Louis Philippe showroom here. It's a huge showroom. It would cost more than 5 lakhs of rent a month, and this total annual, monthly turnover is 30 lakhs, and we do 3 times that some months, and that's a power of what can happen through this idea. Anyways, back to my story. Second time I saw this business was right after my engineering. I was about to join my first job, Infosys. I had a 2 months gap in between, and that time one of my neighbor who used to stay in the ground floor, we used to stay in the first floor, and so he was a general manager of a company. He was close to 45 years old, and he actually didn't. The biggest mistake he made is he never showed this business to me. He just gave me this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he just made a comment. He said, Manoj, if I had read this book at your age, I don't know where I would have been in my life today. And when he said that, I could see a deep sense of regret in his eyes, and I thought I should definitely read this book. And I went back, started reading this book, and I didn't understand everything, but I understood a few things. I understood that 95% of the people in the world share only 5% of the wealth in the world. Okay, own only 5% of the wealth in the world, and 5% of the people in the world own 95% of the wealth in the world. And if you see this 95%, ironically, are the ones who are the most, security-seeking people. They work very hard, get into good colleges, get good grades, and they try and go get a good job which they think is secure, and work all their life, and end up being most insecure people end of the day, though they're looking for security all their life. And here there are this 5% who actually are not looking for security, but they're the most secure people in the world because they own 95% of the wealth in the world. So one thing I got out of that book was the biggest risk you can take in your life is not take any risk. Okay, so that's what I learned, and right after that I joined Infosys, and on 3rd of September I joined Infosys, and on 11th of September World Trade Center came down. So right there I saw several people from IITs and RECs getting fired, and whatever I read in Rich Dad Poor Dad, I clearly understood that, exactly that was happening. And 3 months I was trained, and end of the 3rd month I got a mail. Tomorrow you will be told where you will be day after tomorrow, And so Infosys has offices in every location you can name. They have it in Chandigarh, they have it in Pune, they have it in Bhubaneswar, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, everywhere. And I didn't know. I was very uncomfortable that I was right there, not in control of my life. I didn't have any choice. And next day I got a mail. I was asked to go to Hyderabad. I was in Hyderabad for some time, and I was on bench for those 2 months. What do you do in the bench normally? You go, swipe your card, and come back. Good that you were getting a salary. 2-3 days it was fine. You were going to library, reading some books, chit-chatting and all that, and playing table tennis and all. How many days can you do that? After a couple of weeks, I was feeling meaningless. I felt that I was just doing this for the sake of money. And that time I was not looking for security as I was just out of college. I was looking for something which can actually engage me and challenge me. And so I was just trying to engage myself with some self-help books. I was going for some yoga classes, and so eventually I was transferred back to Bangalore because there were no projects in Hyderabad. And in Bangalore I was on a project, and within 10 days time I figured out Any 10th class fail can do this. I mean, anybody who's 10th class fail, you bring him and you teach him if statement and do while loop and input and output statement, he can figure it out in 10 days. Do you agree? Anybody can do that. And not only that, every day was a repetition of that. It got and paste and change the if statement a little bit here and there, and I was thinking, man, 3 months I got so bored. I was thinking, how can I do this for next 30-40 years, right? And the best part was, when you get into the Infosys bus, you will see that when the freshers walk in, you will see a buzz around them. You will see that they'll be excited, there'll be a lot of laughter, they'll be they'll have a zing in life, and you can see just next to them, you can see the senior people sitting there. They'll be sitting in the obtuse angle like this, okay, and most of them will be staring through the window, or they'll be sleeping like this, and I was afraid that I might become like that. I could see it in their eyes. It was written all over their face. They were not excited about learning the next technology for sure. Maybe 2% of IT industry is given all the money and time in the world. They would love to be there, but rest of the 98%, I didn't see that in them. They were just doing whatever they're doing for the sake of that month's income, because otherwise they cannot pay their EMIs, they cannot pay their rents, they cannot send their kids to school, and the only reason why you're working is for a paycheck, okay? And every month they'll waste their life doing what they really don't like to do, so that they will get compensated, and they call it compensation package, right? And that's what I understood, and I was really not sure whether I can continue to live rest of my life like that. And I could see every day if I go in that bus, slowly I will move from a fresher to some of these people, and I'm sure everybody felt like that in the beginning, right? Everybody feels like that, and slowly we start accepting it, and over a period of time you start thinking that's how life is. You have to accept it, it's a reality. And I was afraid that would happen to me. So what I did, within 1.5 years time, I went to my boss. He was a senior manager, and I told him, I don't think I can continue here, because back then I was again transferred to Hyderabad, and Priya was in Bangalore. 3 times in a year I was transferred, and I didn't even know where I will be next month. And I was spending more than 11,000 rupees over the phone. My salary was 11,000 rupees. So I told my boss, see, I don't see any financial growth or inner growth, outer growth here. So I think, I want to discontinue working here. And he said, see, I'm 20 years in the industry, and I can tell you one thing, before you make such big decisions, you have to think all 360 degrees before you come to a decision like that. And I told him, what, for the last 1.5 years, I'm thinking every degree of it. Okay, so I couldn't see any sense in it. So within 30 minutes of notice period, I left Infosys and I came to Bangalore. And when I came to Bangalore, what does anybody who's 1 year experience, if they don't like what they're doing in the job, what do they do first thing? They start thinking of giving a CAT exam, or maybe GMAT or GRE. They think after finishing that, they'll go to some heavenly place, right? So all that, maybe you will end up in the next cubicle maybe, right? So I never knew that, and I worked through CAT exams, and me and Priya were going around in Bangalore, so we did whatever we could in the exam, and I cleared SPJ and she cleared FMS. And around that same time, I was running out of money to live in Bangalore because I was not working. So I remember my dad telling about some kind of a business opportunity, and its name was FIC or something. And so I told him, let me do one thing. I need some extra money to live. So if I make any kind of money, it can support my living in Bangalore till I, decide where I really want to be. And at that time, I got the number of FIC, and I called them, and I came to know they told they've already closed. Okay, so then I was talking to Priya, and she told me once that in her office, everybody avoids one guy called Chandrasekhar Reddy. Okay, so it seems he is in Amway business, and anybody goes near him, he will trap them. And that's what she was told. And so she told me about this. I said, see, I have heard about this Amway. I think we need to have a look at it, because right now, anyways, we need some source of an income. And so she went to office next day, and she talked to him, and he very reluctantly responded as anyways, how does it, because he didn't see anything in being a single girl. What would she do in the business? So he just told about the open meeting venue. Okay, and we called the day before, we reconfirmed our appointment, and we went to open meeting in SJRC college many years, 10 years back. And there I went in the last 5 minutes. Okay, last 5 minutes I went there, and guess who was showing the plan? Sunny Sehgal was showing the plan. Okay, and he was a diamond, he was a bachelor back then, and his plan, he just made one statement. He said, for last, you cannot fool people across 80 countries for 40 long years. For last, you cannot fool people across 80 countries for 40 long years on the same idea, right? And that made a lot of sense. And I remember coming back home thinking, man, this many sensible people are there, and what he told really made sense, because millions of people across 80 plus countries, how can you fool with the same idea for 40 years? Definitely it makes sense. And I came home, and we decided to call Chandrasekhar Reddy, and he said, you need to meet this couple, Ankur and Taru, and we fixed a time with them. And when we went for a follow-up, right here in Koramangala 7th block, behind Bosch Gate, Ankur and Taru used to live there. And we went there, and Ankur was to work that time. So he got late in the office, and Taru was sitting there. We waited for 10 minutes. Then she started asking what questions we have. And I just wanted to know what the mathematical basis of it. What is 6%, 9%? I asked the basic things. She explained what is the plan. And right there we were ready. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money in my pocket that time. So I went and borrowed money from some of my friends. Next day morning, 8,000 rupees, 100 PV, I got started. Okay. And towards the end of the follow-up, Ankur walked in. Okay. And I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know he's from IIT Delhi. I didn't know he's successful in the business. That one handshake I had that day totally influenced my life in a positive way from the rest of my life. Totally whole thing changed. And definitely we won't be here where we are today if not for them. And then I was invited to a conference in Chennai, summer conference. And in the entire summer conference, only two speakers were there. Okay? One is Paul Miller. He's a crown in the business. And second is Kumar Shivapriya. Okay, and they both spoke for 3 hours each, and they showed their lifestyle video, and it was very similar to what I saw in Madras Motorsports Club. Paul Miller had dozens of cars. He had Rolls Royce and everything that you can name. Kumar had his Hummer. Everything was in the lifestyle video. And Kumar, when he was narrating a story, he said he was from a very middle class family. And he also mentioned, in fact, coincidentally, he's also the same electronics engineer from the same RSC, and he used to stay in the same hostel. And I thought, if he can get there and retire at the age of 27, from where he was, I have no reason not to do what he is doing. So I decided that I will do everything within my capacity to get there, and that's how I came back to Bangalore. And see, I've been talking to Ankur and Turu on a day-to-day basis for the last 10 plus years, right? Okay, so 10 plus years is a good enough a time to know, about how they live life. So last 10 years, I've never seen Ankur and Turu work for anybody. Okay, I've seen them go for international vacations at least 3 times a year, every single year. And not only that, they go for a lot of local vacations with the family apart from that. And most of the times when I call, Ankur is either going to a nursery to buy a plant so that he can play with his kid in the garden, or maybe, where everybody's busy hitting the traffic going to the office, he'll be going in a different direction to a flute class. Okay, and I've seen him play with his kids on a Monday afternoon, and doing some kind of robotics or piano, and at the same time, I could see checks coming to his house from Singapore business. I saw money coming in dollars from US business. I saw him getting 21 lakhs one check, 25 lakhs one check GIPs from India business. And I used to think, man, my senior manager might not make this as a one check, the entire annual income, right? And I was thinking, in spite of all this, he used to build this business very seriously. Not for the fear of what will happen next month. It's more for the thrill of getting people where he has gotten in life, right? See, he was in such a profession. The only profession in this business is what? Make other people successful, right? I really saw a vision there. I saw that if I can live a life like this, if I can have a purpose like this where, my only profession is to help other people, and when can you do that? Only when you're not worried about your life and your money and you are living abundantly, then only you can put your heart and soul into something. And I could see everything as a package here, right? So at the same time, when I saw in my office, people of the same age were trying to do PMP certifications, okay, and they were trying to go for a long distance MBA program at the age of 38, 40, and I could see that a contrast right there. They were fighting for on-site and things like that. So there I found myself at a juncture where I was approaching a fork. I saw 2 roads ahead of me. One road, you go, take couple of loans, take 25, 30-year terms of EMIs, buy some real estate properties or do some sensible investments, go on site for 10 years, pre-close some of those loans, send your wife to work, put your kid in the daycare, you run around, jump, cubic companies, do whatever you can. Hopefully at the age of 55, you close all your loans and end up having some health challenges and things like that. And then at 55, maybe you live in a decent house, you have a couple of properties which gives you some kind of returns, maybe you have invested somewhere and you're able to take care of your health expenses and live a good life after 55. Right? The next road I saw was, get started with this business, right? Work for 5 to 10 years very hard. Don't make much capital investment as such. Just start the business. It's hardly cost anything to start this business. and make some changes in your life and make some, get more disciplined and live a life of dreams the way Ankur and Tharu are living right in front of my eyes. The first case was you missed the soup, you missed the starters, you missed the main course, and after 5 maybe you are left with the dessert, okay? And then, maybe your kids can live a great life. Here I saw that you maybe missed the soup because, you work for 25 to 30 or 30 to 35 very hard, but still you have the starters, you have the main course, you have the dessert, right? And right there I could see the second choice was much better, and the choice I made that day made all the difference in my life today, right? And if I had not made that choice that day, maybe we won't be where here today, right? And so that was if you're listening to the CD for the first time, maybe you're in the same juncture today. So what path you want to take is going to make all the difference in your life too. Okay, and so right after that I came to Bangalore. I started building the business after that seminar, and so one thing I noticed was, without job, I was finding it very difficult to build the business. Many people say, if not for the job, I could have built this business. My job is very hectic. Try building the business without a job. You will know how more difficult it is, right? So Ankur counseled me to go take up a job and then build the business. So I joined HCL and I started building the business. And first 1 year and 8 months, guess how many people are there in our team? Only me and Priya, that's it. Okay, we are going to every meeting and we are just doing everything that we could do, but it took that much time to learn. So which business works in first 2 years? You know any business like that? So you are learning the business, and so I want you to listen to Priya, and she has a lot of things to share. Please help me welcome Priya.
Hi everybody, I am Priya. I am basically from Trichy in Tamil Nadu. And I came to Bangalore 12 years back to start my IT career with Infosys. I worked with Infosys for a couple of years, and then with IBM for a few years, and then with Dell for a short span of time. And I retired at 26. My mom was a mathematics professor. In fact, both my mom and dad were mathematics professors. And I saw my mom, going through a lot of stress, trying to balance the job and taking care of me and my brother with a joint family. And she always used to tell me, I want you to have a more relaxed and a more peaceful life. And she took BRS at 51 and I retired at 26, a differential of 25 years. That is what I got out of this business. I got 25 years of my life back through this business. And apart from being a professor, my dad was a writer too. And a couple of his books on automation and discrete mathematics, they're bestsellers prescribed by the UP University. And he makes royalty income month after month for what he wrote so many years back. And he used to write travelogues and translations of ancient Sanskrit texts. So we had a Sanskrit library at home. We had a huge collection of books at home. So at an early age, the kind of exposure I got, to great ideas and, the kind of things that I got to read, my mind expanded to the possibilities that life can hold, and I couldn't think of a life of survival, just making money to make both ends meet. Probably that is why when I got into IT industry, I could feel, a sense of a sense of purpose and clarity in people around me. And another defining moment in my life was when I was in 11th standard. I saw an ad for a national level contest. It was a national youth festival conducted by the HR ministry, the government of India, and it was a contest, where different, disciplines of music and arts, and it was open to the general public. Anybody could participate between 15 to 35 years of age, and I participated in the extempore elocution. I came first in the zonal, district and the state levels, and I got to represent Tamil Nadu in the National Youth Festival, and that was a big exposure for me because I was a kid and everybody around me were musicians and artists from all over the country, and we got to travel and stay together for 10-15 days to Calcutta, to Lucknow, and I got to interact with so many of those people. It was a whole new world for me. And I specifically got to interact with a person from Trichy who was representing Tamil Nadu for sitar. His name was Afsaloon. And whenever he would start playing sitar, he would close his eyes and tears would start flowing down his cheeks, and he would forget himself. He would lose track of what is happening around him, and he would become oblivious of the contest, of the other participants, of the timing, and he lost the contest. But I saw something that day. I got a glimpse of a joy that I feel very few people possess on this earth. The joy of pursuing something that gives meaning to your life. And I decided that day, I should find something in my life, something that fills my soul, something that inspires me every day, something that I do not for the utilitarian value of it, but, just for the sheer joy and love of doing it, and money should come as a byproduct. And imagine I got into a software job, which was nowhere close to it. I saw people around me. I saw my project mate, and she used to travel from Malleshwaram to Electronic City, and she was married. She had a kid, 2-3 years old kid, and the kid was developing sleep disorders because the kid would think that the kid goes to sleep, the mom would go out of the house, and she was going through a lot of stress because she was putting in 12-15 hours a day in a job, including the commute, and by the time she goes back home after a long day at work, she would feel guilty and she was frustrated. And I saw, some of my friends leaving their kids back in hometown with their parents and visit every weekend to meet their kids. And I saw one of my friends, she would cry every day in the office. She was because she was missing her baby. And I saw some of the couples, staying away from each other in different locations, and they would just meet in the weekends. And on the other extreme, I saw some of my friends who had quit their jobs and they were housewives taking care of their families. And after a few years, they felt that they were losing their sense of identity. And I saw them bored and frustrated too. So I had never visualized my life in, any of these extremes. And I was sure that there was a better way to live. And I was slowly getting into the rut system in my office because days and months were passing by, projects would change, technology would change, locations would change, sometimes company would change. But the coffee table discussions were the same, just the faces were different. Appraisal, hike, on-site assignment, probably higher studies, Friday parties, weekend movies. I was, feeling that people around me were losing their zing in life with every passing year in the job, and I was losing the poetry inside me because back then in college, I used to be the president of the Tamil Literary Club in NIT Trichy, and I used to write regularly in the in-house publications as well as in magazines in the market. And more than the lack of time after I got into an IT job, I felt that I was losing the spirit for poetry because sometimes I would be sitting in my cubicle and through the window, I'll see it is noon, and by the time I'll do some work and look again, the sun would be setting, the birds would be flying back home, and I would feel that, the day is changing colors outside and I'm vegetating in front of a monitor. Sometimes I would get so frustrated, I'll get up and look around, I'll see hundreds of people, working seriously, coding in front of the monitor. And I would feel as if, I was in a science fiction movie or something where everybody has suddenly turned into robots. You get up in the morning and then, pack your food and then get ready and go to office, do something, and then some status meeting which doesn't make any sense. And then, I really felt, a robotic mundaneness about the whole thing. I would sometimes go to the library, I would sometimes go and sit in the lawns, touch the green grass, feel some life. I was feeling that I was getting lost there. And that time I came across one more person who also, was not excited about the next project, the next, assignment, the next technology. And I knew from the day one, from his gait, that, he didn't belong there and that he knew it. And when I started talking to Manoj, we realized that, we matched each other so much in our thinking and how we wanted to live that before we realized, we knew that we'll be living our lives together. And every day evening, we used to go for long walks, and he used to talk to me about, fixing our finances in a few short years, and then traveling around the world, going to different countries and, meeting all kinds of people, all different cultures, and, exploring and probably getting into something that would involve teaching and impacting people. And the way he was describing, I knew that my life with him was going to be exotic. And some days, he would talk about starting his own business, and he would say that, one of the days he would be talking about, starting a 5-star restaurant, and the whole evening we'll be arguing whether to have non-veg on the menu or not. And, he would talk about me taking care of the HR of the organization he would find, and I should take care of the values and the culture in the organization he would build. And, what was his wedding promise? He didn't tell me that I'll give you this, I'll give you that. He told me that anyways, I'll build something on my own. And on the way, we will go bankrupt a few times. So be ready to be on the road once in a while, That is how we started. And typical of him, he quit his job in half an hour's notice. And we were really looking. And that is the time I got warned about one of my colleagues, project mates called Chandrasekhar Reddy. And some of my project mates had told me, don't get into a discussion alone with him because he will trap you into the Amway business. He has already trapped a lot of people into the Amway business. I was amused. What is this trapping thing, Because I was not feeling insecure because, I thought I was adult enough. Somebody cannot push me into doing something, that I don't like doing. So after discussing with Manoj, I went and started the conversation, and luckily he didn't show me the plan because, I couldn't have related to the percentages anyway. He spoke to me about a couple, young, sharp, the guy is from IIT and she used to work in HR, they don't work in a job, and they travel around the world, they have a lot of fun and they still make a lot of money. After 5 minutes of hearing about this couple, I decided to do whatever this couple was doing, and and he was talking about none other than Ankur and Taru, and in a couple of days, we started the business, and my real story started when we got that kit. I had to take the kit from Ankur's house to my hostel, and I literally, I was hiding it and taking it stealthily into my room because I was so conscious what other people would think about me. And that weekend, I had to take the kit to Trichy. I had to try some products at home. And me and my mom, we literally covered the kit with newspaper, stapled it, and we felt in the railway station as if, everybody in the railway station, got to know what we were carrying. And you should have seen how we were carrying that kit in the train. It would have looked like we were smuggling something. And, and I got my share of negatives too. My mom sent me a paper cutting, by courier that some multi-level marketing, ran away, and, a lot of people got fooled. And she was like, what happened to you? You studied in Trichy, you're working with Infosys, and, what have you gotten yourselves into? And, but I had some common sense. I didn't go by the media because only masala sells anyway. So I called Ankur and I asked him, about it, and he told about the credibility of the corporation and facts about the corporation. And I understood that, it is in the Forbes listing and it is not some get-rich-quick scheme. And my cousin from US sent a long mail, this company used to sell toilet cleaners in the US in the 1950s, and then, they closed down in the US, they were thrown out of the US, and now they have come to India to fool people in India. But one thing, I was intelligent enough to understand that these people were intelligent. And, I had seen Ankur and Chandu and all sharp people in the meetings. And I had to first check out whether products were fairly priced because I was not sure about that. So in the first couple of days, we started trying the body shampoo, and, I really fell in love with the products. The quality was world class, and the concentration aspect of it I understood. And my mom and, both of our parents, I put them on Neutralite, and the first positive feedback I got from my mom was, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but at least you're giving something good to people, because she saw a tremendous benefit in her health with Neutralite. And then I started getting a feeling that I'm helping people with these products. And my biggest fear in the beginning was, I thought that the next day I started the business, I have to take a bag of products and go door to door and sell. I was, so paranoid about it. And when I started coming to these BWW trainings and the meetings, I understood that this business can be set up professionally. I don't need to convince anybody. I don't need to lose my self-respect. I can build this business with a great attitude, and I felt I could do it. And in a couple of years, we learned the business skills that were required to build this business. And in 7 years after we started the business, both of us were retired. And I'll tell you the kind of life we live today. We probably make the same money we would have made if both of us had worked in IT in senior positions, along with all the compromises. But today, if you see our day, our daughter, 3.5-year-old daughter, she's the one who's hurrying up in the morning because she goes to school. And once Manoj drops her in school and comes back, we have a relaxed breakfast. And do you know, when we used to go for our jobs, when we used to have these relaxed conversations? Only through online chats. We used to talk more through mail and phone than in person. And we would wait for our daughter to come back from school, and in the noon we'll play with her. And when our daughter is about to have her dinner and go to sleep, that is when we go out to build the business. And we go to somebody's house, have some chai, and tell them what we do. And if you call it hard work, we take a lot of breaks too. Nowadays, how we take our personal vacations? We take our car, drive down to Chikmagalur, and then we stay there for 2 days, and then we think, okay, we'll check out that place also. We drive down there, and we don't have a return date for our vacations. We don't have a boss to ask permission from. And apart from these, Amway sends us on international vacations every year. And both of us, when we used to work in IT, so many offers to travel abroad we used to keep rejecting. 2 years to New York, 1 year to Washington, London, Finland, Nigeria. Pretty much between us, both of us would have rejected opportunities to travel to every country in the world. Because if you had to travel through your IT jobs, we had to go alone, and then you will work so hard, and in between somehow you will snatch a few hours so that you can go out, take some pictures so that you can upload them on the Facebook. But how we travel now? When you travel with Amway, we travel in class. You can go to Zurich, you can go to the Swiss Alps, but you can't have rasam on the top of Mount Atlas. You can go to Melbourne, but you can't have dinner at MCG. Amway had booked MCG for the entire day for dance and dinner on the last day, when we had got to Melbourne. And the best part is we travel with the best of our best friends, creating memories that will last a lifetime. And more than any of these, the balance and the peace of mind that we have got now, which was so elusive in our IT careers, I can't put a price on it. And the possibility to make money in dollars and pounds sitting here in India, because all my cousins are settled abroad, and I know the constant deep longing they have, staying far away from home to make the money that they make. But sitting here in India, we can make money in dollars and pounds because, we have the option of setting up the business internationally. And the best thing is, for me and Manoj, we found something in life, which we love doing, which we enjoy doing. And how many of you remember your college days? Those were the best days, right? And for me and Manoj, our college days are never over because of the fun we have with the friends we find through this business, with the family we get to create through this business. And on the way of building this business, when we look back, so many families have got impacted because of the business we built. So many women have walked out of their stressful jobs and they are building something from home. And so many moms have come back home to raise their kids. And so many housewives have transformed into business women, and we find a newfound sparkle in their eyes. And so many marriages started flourishing. If you witness the blossoming that happens inside you and people around you and in their lives through this business, you will be as passionate about this thing as we are. Hope you got a glimpse of what we could see through this opportunity. Back to Manoj.
So what are the most common concern you get when somebody sees this plan is, I don't have good contacts like it is required to build a business, as if they know it is required, right? So how did I find my business, right? I was once, as I told you, for first 1 year and 8 months, I didn't find anybody who would build this business with me, and I had gone to office as usual. I used to work in HP back then. And so I found my toilet very dirty, so I went to some other floor, okay, and I saw somebody combing his hair there, and I looked like a familiar face. I said hi, he said hi, and then I realized I found somewhere in some CAT classes or something, and in fact, I told him to let's meet. I have a business option over the phone, and we met during the lunch time in the conference hall right there in HP, because both of us used to work there, and I showed the plan in the conference hall. And long story short, today Abhinav and Kavita are founder platinums in our business. They got married later. Kavita also used to work in HP. In fact, they have 2 legs qualifying. They're looking very good to go Emerald next year. Under them is Sharat Manju, who's a platinum. Under them is Sandeep Swati, who's a platinum. Under them is Sami Shweta, who are platinum qualification. Under them is Ajit Sonia, who is in platinum qualification. Under them is Deepak and Ketki, they are in platinum qualification. The second leg, Shakti Sweta, are in platinum qualification. Under them, Pankaj Shilpi are in platinum qualification. They have a huge business coming up. Okay, and before the session, I was talking about the seminar that I went to Chennai. We went one day early to show this plan to one of my college mates. School friend, and so he had come to see the plan. That time I didn't know how to show the plan. Somebody came to help me, and when he saw the plan, after the plan, we told him, why we came from Bangalore to Chennai for this session. So I thought, since anyway you are in Chennai, let's go to this session. He said, no, I have something very important to do tomorrow, so I don't think I can make it. Okay, so my friend, being close to him, he asked, what is that most important thing that is the reason why you cannot come to this function? He said, tomorrow I have to wash my clothes, and I don't think I can come to this event because it's very important that I wash it. And so really he didn't come, he didn't come to the function because that day, in fact, he got the best employee of the month award, okay, for that month. And he was not looking. And within a year's time, he barely got any hike. He only got that paper, okay, employee of the month paper. So he was so frustrated, he called us back and asked, how is the business going? I said, great. How much money were you making? Nothing, okay. And he came to started the business with us after 1.5 years from then on. And he started building the business gradually. And today, Vijay and Vidya are founder platinums in our business, moving on, and they're looking very good to go Emerald next year. In fact, under them is Murali Vaishnav, Golds going platinum. Under them is Nagapur and Shivagami, who are again in platinum qualification. Under them is Prashant Sharanya and Subranshu Shushri, all of them are in platinum qualification. And the third leg was see, I used to have my breakfast outside. Anyways, a bachelor eating outside every day. So I used to have my breakfast not within my campus. I used to have it outside, right here in Airport Road. There's a Nilgiris shop where a lot of IBM guys used to come there, because in Golden and Clay there's an IBM office. So every day when I go, one day when I was there, I met one person who was wearing an IBM tag. He was sitting there. I asked, do you work with IBM? Is that an intelligent question? Right? Obviously. So he asked me back, where do you work? I said, I work with HP. Then I said, I'm Manoj. He said, I'm Venu. Then I, exchange numbers. And then I call him and say, I have a business. Do you keep your options open to diversify your source of income without disturbing your job? He said, is it Amway? I said, yes. What do you know about it? He said, I don't know anything. Come and show me. Okay. So I went. I showed the plan to him. And he got started in the business. He didn't do much for close to a year. Then he got married, and I was in touch with him. So obviously, once he gets married, there's another list coming in. So I went to meet him. Okay, and his wife gave me 3 numbers: 2 in Bangalore, 1 in Hyderabad. Both the Bangalore guys said, I'm not interested. So I went to Hyderabad to show the plan. And there I had 21 guests sitting in the home meeting from all my other legs and things like that. And all the 21 said no. I don't know what I did in that home meeting really. Nobody was interested, and this guy, his name is Rajesh, who was a reference from this person whom I met, and he also said no. Then I asked him, do you know anybody in Bangalore? I came from Bangalore all the way. If you give me one reference in Bangalore, he gave me only one number. His name is Sharath. Okay, and Sharath and Hema are, for me, I had to call him, and he came for a home meeting with bathroom slippers and unshaved, and in fact, it took a couple of months for me to meet him for a follow-up. And he gave me a post-dated check for after the follow-up, and the post-dated check actually bounced. Okay, and today Sharath and Hema are rubies in our business. Okay, and they transformed into a wonderful leadership. And Hema got married later. She used to be a HR professional. She retired through this business. You see, most of the ladies in this team, who I mentioned, all of them are retired because of this business. Okay, under them is Satish Lavanya, who are again platinums in a business. Lavanya is retired through this business. He's a software engineer, and so one day I was having dinner in Madurai Idli shop right here in Kormangla, right? And I saw a guy having idli. I went and asked him, how's the idli? He said, idli is very good. I said, he asked me, do you come here regularly? I said, no, that's the reason I'm asking this question. And then, I said, I'm Manoj. He said, I'm Sahil. And I showed this business to him. Okay, I called him and checked his interest. He said, I wanted to see the plan. And some other day I met and showed the plan. And after the plan, I gave him a CD and we fixed a follow-up. And so when I called him for a follow-up, he said, yes, let's meet. And I went there, and he was standing with a CD. And he said, see, I just came to give the CD. I don't think I'm interested in this. I'm leaving. I said, you have decided to leave, right? He said, yes. So before you leave, why don't you know what you're leaving? And then he said, okay, let me see what it is. And I did a follow-up. He signed up. Today, Sahil Zaya are goals in our business. This month, they are goals. And another person I was having, as I told you, I have lunch outside every day as a bachelor. So when I was working in HP, I was having a lunch. One guy was sitting opposite to me, and I asked him, how is the food here? The guy next to him was telling me the answers always. He was telling food was good. I said, then he's telling me, then I thought, why to talk with this guy, man? Let me talk to this guy, So I started talking to him, and I took his number, I called him, and I showed the plan. Then I get to know he's working free of cost for a company as a fresher. Okay, so he didn't have any money. So I said, why don't you call your dad and say you lost your mobile phone and start this business, And immediately he called his dad and he said he lost his mobile phone. He started the business, That's so amazing. Then he did nothing in the business for a year, and then he went to Pune for a job. He got a job, and I used to go to office every day. Whenever I'm free, I used to think, what do I do today in the business? And I thought, man, my sixth leg is not doing that great, so let me find somebody. I was looking for some networking leg. I had legs, but so that time I called him and said, why don't you come to Bangalore? I just called him and said, why don't you come to Bangalore? And I told him, you write a self-doc that one month from that day, I told a date and I said, today is so-and-so day. I am in Bangalore. I'm standing in a Koromangala along with Manoj, and we are going together for a plan and all that. And he told this, recorded it on his phone, and he kept hearing it. And exactly one month from then, he was actually in Koromangala Bidai Complex, okay? And he was building the business with me. And so he went and showed a couple of plans. I mean, he used to learn how to show the plan at the time. I was showing his plans. And one plan, he said, have some plan, and he went and showed a plan and came back. He found somebody through Orkut, and he showed a plan. And I asked him, after 2-3 weeks, I remembered vaguely he showed a plan. I said, hey, what happened to that plan? He said, I showed the plan. Then what happened? I finished the plan. That's it, he said. Then I said, why don't you call that guy and fix another time? So then we went and did a follow-up, and that follow-up was Naveen and Lisa, right? Naveen was a bachelor back then. Now he's married, and he works in a bank, and she's working in the IT industry. And today they're eagles, our fifth leg. looking very good to start the qualification next few months. They have a huge business coming up. And so one day, again, I got a reference to a reference, and I had showed the plan, and his name is Satish and his wife Priyanka. In fact, both of them work in the IT industry. He has filed some patents, very sharp couple, growing at a tremendous speed. They'll be the fastest sellers in Bangalore, and next year we'll be diamonds right here in Bangalore, the city of Bangalore. And seventh leg, I was standing near the gate of my house, and one guy comes and asks me, you know, I need 2-bedroom house here, okay? And in fact, I told him, okay, I'll let you know, give me your number, okay? And then I called him, I showed the plan to him a couple of days later, and you know what, night 12:30 he comes to see the plan to my house. See how looking people are. And his name is Manoj and his wife Shika. Manoj is from IIT Delhi. His wife is working as a professor here in Bangalore. She's a master's in computer science. And after that, you know, we are just looking solid to go founder Diamond Plus in next 2 years and make 1 crore a year in this business. That's our goal in this business in next 2 years' time. Okay, and see, if you really ask me, how did I know whether you need to have good contacts to build this business, and how did I know? If I had to think logically and guess, my answer would have been obviously no, right? But when I tried, when I explored, when I experienced, I got to know it is possible to build a business without good contacts. See, when I was working in HCL, I used to work in JP Nagar office, and my office used to be in 24/7 shift. Every week my shift used to change. Okay, and when I was working in HP, I used to be in Bagmani Tech Park office in C.V. Ramanagar. Okay, and I used to work in the 7:30 morning to afternoon 4:30 shift. Sometimes I used to work in the afternoon 11:30 to night 8:30 shift. And then when I moved to Oracle in Whitefield, I used to work in Singapore clients in the morning time. Sometimes I had to sync up with them in the morning. Sometimes I was working for the US client. I had to stay in the late calls in the evenings. And sometimes I had been, you know, in weekend support where I had to, my pager beeps. Those days pages used to be, and pager beeps, you have to start, you know, working. And sometimes I was in a lead role. I was in a testing project. Sometimes in a support project. I was in a development project. I used to drive my bike from Koramanga to Whitefield and do all this, come back late at night, again from driving all the way back. Obviously, I was tired. If I had logically asked myself this question, do I really have the time to build the business? What would have been my answer? No. But when I tried, when I explored it, when I experienced it, I really got to know still I could still build this business. How? One day, for example, in the evening, I didn't have time. So I showed the plan in the lunchtime to Abhinav, right, in the year 2004. Now, every single month for the last several years, I make more money every month than what I used to make as a full-time software engineer with HP, okay, for doing some work in 2004 in the lunchtime, right? But 2.5 years I worked with HP. How much money do I make today from HP? Nothing, right? So if I had assumed I don't have time, what a great opportunity I would have lost. So any truth in this world can be realized only in the experiential dimension, right? Can you realize any truth in the psychological dimension and thinking dimension? Never, right? So how did you learn cycling? If you really logically guess, is it possible to cycle or not? 2 wheels. How can you balance, right? Third wheel also, autos we don't trust normally, right? When you go near the auto, you're ready for anything, right? So if you really see, you tried cycling and you realize you can, right? That's how you learn swimming, that's how you learn walking, that's how you learn to speak. Anything in this world is learned by trying and exploring. But you got the guts to try and explore because it didn't cost you anything. You didn't have to lose. Maybe you'll fall down from cycle, maybe you will drink some water, that's it. In a 3 feet pool, you cannot really die, maybe, right? Same way in this business, what is that you have to lose, right? My suggestion is, if you're listening to us for the first time, I would suggest you to start this business. You're not going to lose anything. Try this for 90 days, explore, experience this business. Go and tell the person who gave you the CD, I want to come and attend the next meeting. I want to meet you, upline platinum, upline emerald. I want to experience this business and come to know whether it's for me or not. Because you wouldn't believe, nobody in my family still believes that I'm in a speaking profession because I'm a very introverted person. If I had logically thought whether it's for me, I was the last person who should have been in this business, right? I tried and it worked. So my suggestion is the same thing to you. It was great talking to you all, and I'll call the host back. Thank you.
While the techniques and approaches suggested may have worked for others, no one can guarantee that they will work for you. We hope, however, that the ideas presented here will assist you in developing a strong and profitable business. This product has been produced independently of Amway Corporation. Purchase of this product is optional and subject to the refund policy described in your purchase agreement for business support materials. Purchase of future business tools can be discontinued at any time.